Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher-emperor, spent much of his life contemplating what it means to live virtuously, not just for oneself, but in relation to others. He believed that the company you keep has a profound impact on your character, your choices, and your overall quality of life. Marcus often warned against associating with people whose actions reflect a lack of virtue, integrity, and self-discipline. These are not just minor annoyances or flaws. They are behaviors that erode trust, sow discord, and pull you away from your path to self-mastery. Today we'll explore the 7 types of behaviors Marcus Aurelius cautioned against, revealing the kinds of people you should avoid to maintain your own peace, purpose, and progress. If you're ready to elevate your standards and make better choices about the company you keep, hit that subscribe button and let's delve into the wisdom that has guided thinkers for centuries. Avoid those who complain endlessly. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher-emperor, believed that life's true measure is not in what happens to us, but in how we respond to it. He often wrote about the inevitability of challenges, setbacks, and hardships, and he emphasized the importance of facing these moments with resilience and composure. In contrast, chronic complainers are people who refuse to accept this reality. They dwell perpetually in a state of dissatisfaction, finding fault in everything and everyone around them. For Marcus, endless complaining was more than just an annoying habit. It was a destructive mindset that eroded personal and collective well-being. Complaining, according to Stoic philosophy, is the opposite of taking control of one's fate. It's a surrender to circumstances and a refusal to engage with life proactively. Complainers focus their energy on lamenting what is wrong rather than seeking solutions, and this negativity can easily spread to those around them, pulling everyone into a vortex of inaction and despair. Complaining endlessly is a sign of a mind that is trapped in its own grievances. People who complain incessantly are often stuck in a cycle of blame, pointing fingers at others, external situations, or even fate itself, rather than looking inward to find their own role in their unhappiness. Marcus Aurelius wrote extensively about the importance of self-reflection and personal accountability. He believed that each individual has the power to change their perspective, and by doing so, change their experience of life. Chronic complainers, however, reject this empowerment. They prefer to see themselves as victims of circumstance, constantly highlighting what's wrong with their lives without ever making the effort to change. This attitude not only stifles their own growth, but also affects the people around them, turning every conversation into a draining recitation of problems with no intent to seek resolution. Moreover, Marcus Aurelius viewed life as a series of lessons, where every challenge offers an opportunity for self-improvement and growth. Complainers, however, miss these lessons entirely. Instead of learning from their struggles, they become consumed by them, fixated on the unfairness of their situations. This fixation blinds them to the possibilities that lie within their reach, possibilities that could only be accessed if they shifted their mindset from complaint to action. Marcus warned that spending time with such individuals could have a corrosive effect on one's own mindset, gradually lowering your resilience and pulling you into a similar cycle of negativity. He would argue that life's inevitable difficulties are better met with stoic calm and a proactive approach, rather than endless grievances that serve no purpose but to sap energy and spirit. The impact of complainers extends beyond mere words. Their behavior sets a tone and creates an environment where negativity thrives, overshadowing hope, gratitude, and progress. For Marcus Aurelius, this was not just an issue of temperament. It was a fundamental clash with the Stoic ideals of rationality, responsibility, and purposeful living. He believed that we are responsible for our own happiness and well-being, and that to continually complain is to reject that responsibility. By constantly voicing dissatisfaction without seeking change, complainers promote a passive existence, one that is ruled by external factors rather than inner strength. Marcus would encourage us to guard our minds against this influence by distancing ourselves from those who complain without end, not out of harshness, but out of a need to preserve our own mental clarity and commitment to action. Ultimately, Marcus Aurelius would counsel us to avoid chronic complainers because their mindset is not only unproductive but also infectious. Their relentless focus on what's wrong can cloud our own vision, making it harder to see the opportunities and joys that life presents. Marcus believed that our time and energy are our most valuable resources, and wasting them on endless complaints, whether our own or those of others, is to squander our potential. Instead, he advocated surrounding oneself with those who inspire, uplift, and challenge us to be better. People who approach life's difficulties with courage and who seek solutions instead of wallowing in despair. By avoiding those who complain endlessly, we protect our own peace of mind and align ourselves more closely with the Stoic path of resilience, action, and gratitude. Avoid those who gossip and spread rumors. Marcus Aurelius believed that words carry immense power. They can uplift, inspire, and build, but they can also destroy, deceive, and divide. In his writings, he emphasized the importance of speaking truthfully, purposefully, and with restraint, understanding that every word spoken leaves a mark on both the speaker and the listener. Gossip and spreading rumors stand in direct opposition to these Stoic values, as they are actions rooted in malice, insecurity, and the desire to manipulate perceptions for personal gain. People who engage in gossip often do so not out of a pursuit of truth, but out of a need to feel important, to control narratives, or to distract themselves from their own shortcomings. Marcus Aurelius would advise avoiding such individuals because their behavior not only reflects a lack of integrity, but also sows discord and distrust among all who listen. Gossipers create an environment where authenticity and honesty are sacrificed for the thrill of sensationalism, eroding the very fabric of respectful and meaningful relationships. Gossipers thrive on the misfortunes and private matters of others, turning personal struggles into fodder for conversation. They often twist facts, embellish stories, and spread half-truths, all in the name of entertainment or perceived self-importance. Marcus Aurelius would argue that this behavior is not only morally wrong, but also deeply unproductive. It pulls attention away from what is truly important and wastes precious mental energy that could be directed towards personal growth and meaningful action. By engaging in, or even merely listening to gossip, we become complicit in a culture of negativity and deceit. Gossip is a distraction from our own path, diverting focus away from our personal responsibilities and challenges. Marcus believed that the mind should be directed towards self-improvement, wisdom, and the pursuit of virtue. Gossip, on the other hand, leads us down a path of judgment, comparison, and petty squabbles that add no value to our lives. Moreover, gossipers often lack accountability. They speak without consideration for the consequences of their words, failing to recognize the harm they inflict on others. This disregard for the impact of their actions is a stark contrast to the Stoic principle of personal responsibility. Marcus Aurelius believed that our actions should be guided by a sense of duty, justice, and respect for others. Gossip, however, reflects a complete disregard for these values, showcasing a person more concerned with the fleeting satisfaction of sharing a secret than with the truth or the well-being of those involved. In gossip, there is no courage, no integrity, and no constructive purpose, only a continuous cycle of hurt and division. Marcus would urge us to protect ourselves from this toxic influence, recognizing that engaging with gossipers can dull our moral compass and cloud our judgment. Gossip also breeds a lack of trust. If someone is willing to speak ill of others behind their backs, what's to stop them from doing the same to you? Marcus Aurelius taught that we should surround ourselves with people who reflect the virtues we strive to embody: honesty, humility, and a commitment to building rather than tearing down. Gossipers are the antithesis of this, often driven by envy, malice, or a desperate need for attention. They operate in the shadows, working to undermine relationships and reputations without ever facing the consequences of their words directly. Marcus would argue that this cowardice is unworthy of respect or association. By choosing to distance ourselves from those who gossip, we not only protect our own peace of mind, but also set a higher standard for the kinds of interactions we wish to cultivate. Ultimately, Marcus Aurelius would counsel us to avoid gossipers because they are a distraction from the pursuit of a virtuous and meaningful life. They represent a mindset that is small, petty, and unworthy of the time and energy of those striving to live with integrity and purpose. Gossipers waste not only their own potential, but also that of anyone who entertains their destructive narratives. To engage with them is to participate in a cycle of negativity that offers no real benefit, only the illusion of connection through shared malice. Marcus believed that we should seek out those who challenge us to be better, who inspire us with their actions, and who communicate with honesty and respect. By avoiding those who gossip and spread rumors, we align ourselves with the Stoic values of truth, respect, and personal accountability, creating space in our lives for more constructive, uplifting, and meaningful relationships. Avoid those who manipulate for personal gain. Marcus Aurelius, in his reflections on virtue and ethical conduct, deeply despised manipulation and deceit. He viewed manipulation as a profound moral failing, a behavior that betrays trust, erodes integrity, and disrupts the harmony of human interactions. Manipulators use cunning, deceit, and subtle coercion to bend situations and people to their will, prioritizing their own desires over honesty and respect. They thrive on control, exploiting others' vulnerabilities and emotions to achieve their personal goals, often at the expense of truth and genuine connection. Marcus Aurelius would advise us to avoid such individuals because they represent a fundamental breach of Stoic principles. Manipulation goes against the virtues of honesty, fairness, and mutual respect that are essential to a well-lived life. Instead of engaging in open, sincere relationships, manipulators choose to operate in the shadows, driven by self-interest, rather than any sense of duty or moral responsibility. Manipulators often mask their true intentions, presenting themselves as helpful, charming, or even self-sacrificing, all while working behind the scenes to engineer outcomes in their favor. This kind of duplicity is particularly insidious because it undermines the foundation of trust that all meaningful relationships rely upon. Marcus Aurelius believed that trust and integrity were the cornerstones of human interaction, and once broken, they are incredibly difficult to rebuild. Manipulators don't care about these principles. They are focused solely on their endgame, willing to sacrifice others' well-being to achieve their own aims. For Marcus, respect could only be earned through actions that align with virtues such as truthfulness, justice, and humility, qualities entirely absent in the behavior of manipulators. Their constant scheming and dishonesty degrade not just their character, but also the ethical fabric of any group or community they touch. Marcus Aurelius also understood that manipulation breeds an environment of suspicion and resentment. When people feel manipulated, they lose their sense of autonomy and become wary, guarded, and distrustful. This breakdown of mutual respect and open communication is destructive not only to personal relationships, but to any collective endeavor, whether it be a family, a workplace, or a broader community. Marcus would caution against allowing such dynamics to take root, as they hinder cooperation and mutual support, the very qualities that Stoicism seeks to cultivate. By engaging with manipulators, we become complicit in their games, often unknowingly aiding their schemes while eroding our own sense of moral clarity. Marcus would argue that to respect or tolerate manipulation is to accept a way of life that is fundamentally at odds with Stoic values. Furthermore, manipulators often avoid accountability, deflecting blame, and hiding their true motives behind a web of lies and justifications. This avoidance of responsibility runs counter to Marcus Aurelius's teachings on personal accountability and the importance of owning one's actions. The Stoic path is one of constant self-reflection and improvement, requiring us to confront our flaws honestly and strive to better ourselves. Manipulators, however, are more interested in controlling others than in controlling themselves. They are unwilling to examine their own behavior or make meaningful changes, instead opting for the easier route of deceit. Marcus would see this as a significant weakness, a refusal to engage in the difficult but rewarding work of self-improvement that lies at the heart of Stoic philosophy. Ultimately, Marcus Aurelius would advise avoiding those who manipulate for personal gain because their behavior is corrosive to the soul. Manipulation is not just a tactic. It is a way of being that reflects deep-seated insecurities and a lack of genuine moral grounding. It stands in direct opposition to the Stoic ideals of truth, respect, and mutual support. By steering clear of manipulators, we protect our own integrity and create space for healthier, more authentic connections. Marcus believed that we should strive to surround ourselves with individuals who act with transparency, honor, and fairness. People who challenge us to be our best selves, not those who seek to use and deceive. In rejecting manipulation, we uphold the Stoic commitment to living honestly and virtuously, setting a standard for the kinds of relationships that enrich our lives rather than undermine them. Avoid those who disrespect others' boundaries. Marcus Aurelius, in his writings on virtue and moral conduct, emphasized the importance of respect, not just in the grand gestures, but in the everyday ways we interact with one another. To Marcus, respecting others' boundaries was a fundamental aspect of living virtuously, reflecting an understanding that each person is entitled to their own space, thoughts, and autonomy. People who consistently disrespect boundaries act with a sense of entitlement, imposing their will, opinions, or presence without considering the comfort or consent of others. This behavior reveals a profound lack of empathy, humility, and self-control, all qualities that Marcus held in the highest regard. He believed that a person who cannot respect boundaries cannot truly respect others, and that such actions disrupt the harmony and mutual respect necessary for any healthy relationship or community. Disrespecting boundaries often stems from an underlying arrogance, a belief that one's own needs, desires, or beliefs are more important than those of others. People who overstep boundaries often fail to recognize the impact of their actions, whether it's interrupting, imposing, or pushing someone beyond their comfort zone. For Marcus Aurelius, such behavior was a clear sign of a person who lacks self-awareness and the discipline to govern their own impulses. He would argue that boundary violators are not merely inconsiderate. They are fundamentally misguided in their understanding of what it means to live ethically. By failing to honor the personal limits set by others, they demonstrate a disregard for the dignity and autonomy that every individual deserves. Marcus would see this as a failure to uphold the Stoic values of respect, fairness, and self-restraint. Boundaries are essential for maintaining a sense of self and for protecting one's mental, emotional, and physical well-being. People who consistently disrespect these boundaries undermine that sense of safety and personal agency. Marcus Aurelius taught that each person's path is their own to navigate, and boundaries are the lines that help define that path. When someone disregards these lines, they are not just intruding on personal space. They are attempting to control or alter another's experience in a way that serves their own agenda. Whether it's a colleague who consistently oversteps professional boundaries, a friend who disregards your time, or a partner who invades your personal privacy, Boundary violations are a form of manipulation that can erode trust and create a toxic dynamic. Marcus would counsel us to avoid such individuals because their actions not only disrespect others, but also create an environment where control and coercion replace genuine connection and mutual respect. Marcus Aurelius also believed that respecting boundaries is an act of humility, a recognition that we are not the center of others' worlds. He saw value in listening, in pausing before acting, and in considering how our actions affect those around us. Those who fail to respect boundaries often lack this humility. They are driven by their own impulses and needs, paying little heed to the discomfort or objections of others. This lack of restraint not only damages relationships, but also reflects a deeper moral deficiency. Marcus would argue that boundary violators are ultimately disconnected from the Stoic practice of self-regulation, which requires constant mindfulness of one's actions and their impact. They lack the critical self-awareness needed to understand when they are imposing or overstepping, and they often react defensively when called out, further highlighting their unwillingness to reflect or change. Ultimately, Marcus Aurelius would advise us to avoid those who disrespect others' boundaries because their behavior reflects a deeper inability to live in harmony with the Stoic virtues of respect, empathy, and self-control. They disrupt the balance of relationships, prioritize their own needs above all else, and fail to honor the autonomy of those around them. For Marcus, living a virtuous life means not only managing one's own actions, but also respecting the rights and boundaries of others. By avoiding those who consistently violate this principle, we protect our own well-being and maintain a higher standard of respect in our interactions. We create space for healthier, more respectful connections where boundaries are honored and mutual respect is the norm. In doing so, we align ourselves more closely with the Stoic path, cultivating relationships that are grounded in integrity, respect, and understanding. Avoid those who avoid responsibility. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, frequently emphasized the importance of personal responsibility and accountability. To him, embracing one's duties was not just a matter of fulfilling obligations, but a reflection of one's character and integrity. Those who avoid responsibility, however, choose the path of evasion, deflection, and excuses, refusing to own their actions or the consequences of their choices. This behavior is not merely a personal failing, it is a fundamental betrayal of the Stoic virtues that Marcus so highly valued. Avoiding responsibility shows a lack of courage, self-discipline, and respect for others, and it undermines the trust and reliability that are essential to any meaningful relationship. Marcus believed that true strength lies not in avoiding difficulties, but in facing them head-on, taking ownership of one's role in any given situation, and striving to do what is right, even when it is hard. People who avoid responsibility often shift blame to others, external circumstances, or bad luck, rather than acknowledging their own role in their failures or shortcomings. Marcus Aurelius taught that each person is accountable for their actions, thoughts, and responses, and that this accountability is the foundation of personal growth and self-improvement. By avoiding responsibility, individuals deny themselves the opportunity to learn from their mistakes and to develop resilience in the face of adversity. Instead, they remain trapped in a cycle of avoidance, never progressing beyond their current state. For Marcus, this refusal to engage with one's responsibilities is a sign of moral weakness, an unwillingness to confront the realities of life and the impact of one's choices. He would argue that avoiding responsibility is not just a personal flaw, but a failure to fulfill one's duty to oneself and to society. Avoiding responsibility also places an unfair burden on others. When people refuse to take ownership of their actions, someone else is inevitably left to clean up the mess, shoulder the blame, or carry the extra load. This behavior breeds resentment and disrupts the balance of relationships, workplaces, and communities. Marcus Aurelius believed that every individual has a role to play, and that shirking one's duties not only fails oneself, but also harms those around you. This lack of accountability disrupts teamwork, erodes trust, and creates an environment where no one feels safe to rely on others. Marcus would advise us to avoid those who consistently dodge responsibility because their actions reveal a lack of respect for the collective effort required to achieve any meaningful goal. Their behavior undermines the very principles of mutual support and cooperation that Stoicism upholds. Furthermore, those who avoid responsibility often live in denial, refusing to confront the uncomfortable truths about their behavior. Marcus Aurelius believed that personal growth requires brutal honesty with oneself, a willingness to look at one's flaws, acknowledge mistakes, and take steps toward improvement. People who avoid responsibility are often more concerned with protecting their ego than with pursuing truth or bettering themselves. They fear criticism, failure, and the hard work that comes with change. This avoidance mindset not only stifles their own potential, but also sets a poor example for others. Marcus would argue that respect is earned through facing challenges and learning from them, not through avoiding them. To consistently evade responsibility is to live in opposition to the Stoic values of courage, humility, and perseverance. Ultimately, Marcus Aurelius would counsel us to avoid those who avoid responsibility because their behavior reflects a deeper unwillingness to engage with life authentically and bravely. Responsibility is not just a burden, it is an opportunity, a chance to prove one's character, to learn, and to contribute meaningfully to the world. Those who avoid it choose the easy path at the expense of their integrity and the well-being of those around them. By distancing ourselves from such individuals, we protect our own commitment to accountability and set a standard for the kind of conduct that truly deserves respect. Marcus Aurelius believed that the path to virtue is paved with responsibility, and only those willing to walk it are worthy of our time, trust, and respect. By avoiding those who evade their duties, we align ourselves with the Stoic ideals of integrity, responsibility, and moral courage, fostering relationships that are built on mutual respect and shared commitment to doing what is right. As we return to the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, consider the journey we've taken together. We began by exploring the dangers of keeping company with those who display behaviors unworthy of respect, behaviors that erode integrity, trust, and virtue. Now perhaps you find yourself reflecting on the people in your life, and more importantly, on your own actions and choices. Just as Marcus stood firm in his principles, you too stand at a crossroads, ready to make decisions that could transform your relationships and ultimately, your life. The power to change your environment and your future is now in your hands. What will you do with this knowledge? Will you continue to tolerate the behaviors that undermine your peace and progress? Or will you take the first step towards surrounding yourself with people who uplift and inspire you? Don't just close this video and move on. Take action today. Even the smallest step towards aligning your life with these Stoic principles can lead to profound change. As you close this chapter, ask yourself, what kind of life are you building with the choices you make? Are you honoring the values that Marcus Aurelius held dear, or are you allowing the actions of others to dictate your path? You've seen the path through the lens of Stoic wisdom, but the real question remains, are you brave enough to walk it? Remember, true respect isn't just something you offer to others. It's something you demand in return. It's about creating boundaries that protect your peace and nurture your growth. Life's greatest lessons aren't found in mere words, but in the choices we make every day. The journey to living a life of integrity, purpose, and virtue begins with the decision to avoid those who pull you away from your true path. Just like the sculptor who chisels away at stone to reveal a masterpiece, you hold the chisel of your own life. The final shape of your character, your relationships, and your future is in your hands. What masterpiece will you create? The choice is entirely yours. Imagine a life where every interaction is an opportunity for growth, where the people around you reflect the best of who you are and who you aspire to be. A life where you are the master of your own fate, not swayed by the negative influences of others, but steadfast in your pursuit of virtue and wisdom. That life is within your reach. What kind of future will you build with the power of your choices? This may be the end of our discussion today, but it's just the beginning of your journey. Keep questioning, keep reflecting, and keep striving to align your life with the principles that lead to true happiness and fulfillment. You've taken the first steps on a path that never truly ends. Continue to walk it with courage, curiosity, and conviction. Take a moment to reflect on what you've learned here. How will this knowledge shape your interactions moving forward? What will you do differently? The insights you've gained are not just words, they are tools for transformation. Use them wisely. And before you go, let's keep this conversation going. Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. Which behaviors do you believe are most damaging in relationships? How will you apply Marcus Aurelius's wisdom in your life? Your insights could spark a meaningful discussion. And if this message resonated with you, hit the like button. It's a simple action, but it's a commitment to your own growth. Don't forget to subscribe to stay connected on this journey of wisdom and self-mastery. The real question is, are you ready to start living by these principles today?